In a quiet neighborhood on the outskirts of the city stood a magnificent mansion, a house filled with wealth, power, and luxury. But behind those tall gates lived a woman whose heart had become colder than stone. Her name was Madame Adana Okeke. She had everything money could buy, but there was one thing life had taken away from her many years ago: her child. For 18 long years, she believed her baby daughter had died in a terrible hospital fire. The pain changed her. It hardened her until one day a quiet young girl knocked on her gate asking for work as a maid. Madam Adana looked at the girl and saw nothing but another servant. But what she didn't know was that the girl standing before her was the daughter she lost 18 years ago. And the moment the truth finally came out, everyone was left in shock. Welcome to Olubeauty African Folktales channel. Here we tell it the way it is. Have you subscribed? If not, oh yeah, run kitty kitty, run kata kata. Subscribe, like, comment and share. Share it with your families and friends. And don't forget to touch the bell button so that you'll be notified each time we put out new video. Oh yeah, grab your popcorn, sit jeje and enjoy yourself. Oh yeah, let's go there. Adana Okeke was one of the most powerful and feared businesswomen in the city. A widow in her mid-40s, she lived alone in a massive mansion with only her house staff and a few distant relatives occasionally visiting. She had everything money could buy, but was known for her cold heart and motionless eyes. One rainy morning, she interviewed a new maid recommended by the agency, a quiet, beautiful girl named Zara, just 18 years old. There was something about her that felt familiar: her dark eyes, her quiet composure, her hesitant smile. But Adana, ever the pragmatic woman, brushed it off. The morning Zara arrived at the mansion, the sky was grey and heavy with rain. She stood nervously at the large iron gate, holding a small worn out bag that contained everything she owned in the world. Her clothes were simple, her shoes were old, but her eyes carried a quiet strength. Inside the mansion, Madame Adana sat at a long glass dining table reviewing business files. Her assistant walked in and said, "Madam, the maid agency has sent the new girl." Without even looking up, Adana said coldly, "Send her in." Moments later, Zara stepped into the massive living room. Her eyes widened at the beauty of the house. But something strange happened. The place felt familiar, like she had been there before. She slowly walked forward. Adana finally looked up. For a moment, just a moment, their eyes met, and something unexplainable passed between them. But Adana quickly brushed it away. She didn't believe in emotions or memories or fate. "What's your name?" she asked. "Zara, ma'am." Adana nodded and said, "You will clean, cook, wash, and stay out of my way, okay?" "Yes, ma'am," Zara answered. But that night, something happened that would begin to uncover a secret buried for 18 years. While cleaning Adana's bedroom, Zara found a small silver bracelet engraved with a single name, Ziora. The moment she saw it, her heart started beating wildly because in her small bag she carried another bracelet with exact same name. Zara stood frozen in Madame Adana's bedroom, staring at the tiny silver bracelet in her hand. The name engraved on it made her heart pound. Ziora. Her fingers trembled. Slowly, she opened the small bag she always carried with her. From inside, she removed a worn cloth pouch she had kept since childhood. Inside the pouch was another bracelet, the same shape, the same design, and the same name, Ziora. Her breathing became heavy. This can't be a coincidence, she whispered to herself. For as long as Zara could remember, the caretakers at the orphanage had told her a strange story about how she was found. She had been discovered as a baby during a hospital fire. No parents, no family, only a bracelet with her name, Ziora. But when she was adopted by a strict foster family years later, they changed her name to Zara. And from that moment, her past slowly faded away until now, standing in the house of a powerful woman who treated her like nothing, holding a bracelet that matched hers perfectly. Something inside her heart was telling her one terrifying possibility. What if the woman she worked for was actually her mother? But how could that be? And if it was true, why had she never searched for her? Before we continue this shocking story, please, if you are enjoying this African tale so far, please and please like this video and subscribe to the channel and share it with your family and friends and tell me in the comment section, do you think Zara should reveal the truth to Madame Adana or keep the secret? Aya, now let's continue because what happened next was something nobody expected. That same night, while Zara lay awake in the tiny maid's room behind the mansion, Madame Adana sat alone in her large living room. The house was quiet, but her mind was not. Her eyes slowly moved toward an old framed photograph on the wall, a photograph she rarely allowed anyone to see. It showed a young woman smiling with joy, holding a newborn baby wrapped in white clothes. That woman was Adana, and the baby in her arms was her daughter, Ziora. 18 years earlier, that baby had been the center of her entire world. Adana had waited years for a child, years of prayers, years of tears. Then finally, Ziora was born. She was beautiful, perfect, a tiny miracle. But just 3 days later, tragedy struck. Late at night, a terrible fire broke out in the hospital nursery. Smoke filled the building. Doctors and nurses rushed everywhere in panic. Babies were moved. People screamed. Chaos consumed the hospital. When the fire was finally controlled, Adana received the worst news of her life. Her baby, her baby girl, had died. Her body had never been found. But the hospital insisted the flames were too strong. There was nothing left. That moment destroyed Adana's heart forever. She stopped trusting people. She stopped believing in happiness. And slowly, the loving young mother she once was turned into the cold, ruthless woman everyone feared today. But someone else in the house had started noticing strange things. Madame Adana's niece, Linda. Linda had been living in the mansion for several years. Beautiful, elegant, but deep inside, she was greedy and ambitious. She knew that one day, when Adana died, most of her wealth would likely go to her. But recently, she had noticed something unsettling. Adana had started watching the new maid more closely, and Zara seemed unusually curious about the house. Linda didn't like it, not one bit. One afternoon, she secretly followed Zara down the hallway, and what she heard next made her heart skip. Zara was on the phone, speaking softly, and said, "I think I found something. The bracelet matches exactly. The nurse said I was rescued during the fire." Linda's eyes widened. Fire? Bracelets? Rescued? Suddenly, the truth began forming in her mind. And if that truth became known, everything Linda hoped to inherit would disappear. She clenched her fist and whispered to herself and said, "This girl must never reveal the truth. Never." Days passed, but Zara could no longer ignore the growing questions in her heart. She needed proof. One morning, while cleaning Madame Adana's bathroom, she noticed a toothbrush on the sink. An idea suddenly came to her mind. It was risky, but it might reveal the truth. With the help of the kind mansion driver, Chuka, Zara secretly took a sample from the toothbrush. They sent it to a laboratory for testing. A DNA test. Days turned into weeks, and every night Zara prayed quietly, not knowing whether she wanted the truth or feared it. Finally, the results arrived. She sat with Chuka in a small clinic office. The doctor opened the envelope slowly, then looked at Zara with wide eyes and said, "Are you sure you want to see this?" Zara nodded nervously. The doctor turned the paper toward her, and the words she saw made her entire body go numb. Possibility of biological relationship 99.9%. Zara gasped. Tears flooded her eyes. It was true. Madame Adana, the woman who insulted her every day, was her mother. But before Zara could reveal the truth, someone else had already discovered the secret, and what that person did next would change everyone's lives forever.